morning, everybody. Today we are continuing in the Old Testament book of Judges, and we're in the end of chapter 6. And Israel, you remember, is now living in this promised land, and it's called sometimes the land flowing with milk and honey. But it's turning out to be anything but a paradise. As a matter of fact, Israel is being regularly sucked into the sin and the lifestyle of the nations that are surrounding them. And when that happens, usually the sin brings consequences, and in some cases, God even allows those nations around Israel to dominate them. And that's what's going on in this case. Chapter 6 begins rather ominously as the writer says, Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord. Now, and they begin to suffer at the hand of the Midianites. As the pattern goes, they finally, after much suffering, cry out to the Lord, "Lord, help us, we need you." And God comes to them, but this time he comes to them with a different kind of judge. It might be the most unlikely character in all of the book of Judges. A man of Israel by the name of Gideon. We learn about Gideon. Gideon responds to God, and it's something that appears to be his normal answer. He says, my clan is the weakest, and I am the least in my entire family. This appears to be something that's living inside of Gideon's head. It's maybe a response that he's given several times before, that somebody, somewhere, somehow has told him that he is the weakest and he is the least. But God's not buying that. God's not buying that at all. In fact, it's obvious that God wants to correct Gideon's thinking. And so this is Gideon's chance of a lifetime to follow God, to trust him in this incredible opportunity that he has. The Lord tells Gideon, I will be with you, and that's good enough. But Gideon asks for a sign. And so God says, all right, I'll give you a sign. In fact, he gave him 2 signs in yesterday's reading, in the first part of chapter 6. 2 signs of his power, 2 signs of his presence. And today we continue with Gideon's story. And Israel is being now oppressed by their surrounding neighbors, and they name them as the Midianites and the Amalekites and others that live on the east. And Gideon responds to what God has done, and apparently he's understanding what God is wanting for him, and he's beginning to trust in God. So let's look at verse 34. It says, the Spirit of the Lord clothed Gideon with power. He blew a ram's horn as a call to arms, and the men of the clan of Abiezer came to him. He also sent messengers through Manasseh, Asher, Zebulun, Naphtali, summoning their warriors, and all of them responded. It now seems that Gideon God has stepped up his faith, and he's responding, and now the people are responding to his Spirit-led leadership. It appears to be great news, but we read on. And despite all the many confirmations that God has given to Gideon, Gideon seems to be having another crisis of faith. We pick up in verse 36. It says, if you, God, are truly going to use me to rescue Israel as you promised, prove it to me in this way. I will put some wool on the threshing floor tonight. And if the fleece is wet with dew in the morning, but the ground is dry, then I will know that you are going to help me rescue Israel as you promised. Well, this, of course, is where that phrase, putting on a fleece, comes. But I want you to notice one thing very important here, that Gideon's putting out a fleece is not viewed by the author or by God as something positive here. God has already shown him his presence and his power, and he's given him some powerful proofs for it. And this fleece thing is a sign that Gideon did not trust God. In fact, sometimes when we use fleeces, it's a sign that we are trying to manipulate God to our way of thinking, or we're trying to get a way to find more certainty. And God says, trust me in what I've given you. Trust me in what I've given you. God wants us to believe him the first time. But in this case, God does honor Gideon's desire for the wet and dry fleece thing. After all, we know that God had given him a job to do. There's a good chance that God has given you and me a job to do too. God was saying, hey there, Gideon, or hey there, Paul, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be afraid or avoid me. Your heart might be stirring right now, and I want you to serve in this place, or I want you to talk to this person. I want to use your leadership gifts. I want you to be the one who gives a gift so that this ministry or this opportunity can be fulfilled. I know you feel inadequate, and I know you feel a little bit fearful, but that's where I come in. I'm a great big God, and I promise my presence and my power to you. And I've called you to do something, and honestly, you don't want to miss this chance of a lifetime. So my question to you today is, where is God calling you? Where is your heart stirring? God will empower you. God will empower you with everything you need. But we need to listen, and we need to pray, and then we need to say yes. No more fleeces are necessary. Step out in faith. Please, have a great day, but go in faith and follow where God is leading you.
If these devotional videos are helpful to you, subscribe to our channel and click the notification button so you know when we post a new video. And of course, please share them with others.